everyone. Welcome to CineHell. We're finally back.
Yes, because we don't keep a schedule like we should.
No, we really need to set up a schedule, but I'm lazy.
And I have very odd days where I'm available.
Hmm. Well,
But
yeah, it's
hi,
kind of getting
we're
that way for me
back.
too.
We're back.
Yay!
Ish.
For people who've completely forgotten, I'm Joey,
And I'm Janice.
and we're going to talk about Doctor Who because 9 times out of 10, that's what we talk about on this show.
And, I mean, you can't go wrong talking about Doctor Who, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
unless you want to talk about 50 Shades of Grey.
well,
No.
I think this is the closest Doctor Who ever got.
Yeah,
There's slavery, beatings, vaginas.
speaking of, nice little segue there.
To Leonard Nimoy?
Unless he was a woman, and I didn't know this.
For a minute there, I thought I'd broken Janice.
No, I just tried to think of a snappy comeback, and I don't have one.
It's really hard to come up with a snappy comeback after something like that. I apologize.
But yeah, Leonard Nimoy, while we've got him, very sad day for all of us in the nerd fandom. I
Hmm.
mean, really, even if you aren't a Trekkie, if you're old Trekkie, new Trekkie, if Doctor Who, doesn't matter what kind of nerd you are, pretty sure you've heard the news. Leonard Nimoy did indeed pass away last week. I believe he was 83. He had
I think
COPD.
82. Not
82,
sure.
COPD. And
This is
Spock,
very
the
sad.
character Spock, you have to admit, has had a huge influence on science fiction and popular culture as a whole. Like, more than I think people really realize.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, I think people do recognize it to an extent, but I don't think that. I think a lot of times they're doing stuff or looking at characters that were inspired by Spock and don't even know it.
I mean, at the time, Spock himself was a half-blood, they called him?
Yeah, yeah. It
I mean,
was
he
like
was,
like a interracial
yeah,
child kind of thing.
he's half human, he's half Vulcan, which, at the time the original Star Trek came out, really, if you think about it, that was not even heard of at the time.
Unacceptable.
So, I mean, he was a pretty breaking character, and being the product of an interracial relationship myself, my father is Hispanic and my mother's German. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to dwell too much on it. It's very sad that we lost Leonard Nimoy, and it came as a hell of a shock. I have to admit.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not up on the news, but it, like took me completely by surprise.
No, I'd heard the night before I did see a thing saying, oh, he went to the hospital for chest pains, and then when I looked at the news the next day, it was basically saying Leonard, he had died. Obviously, I
Yes.
can't even say his name now. I'm so sorry.
Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy. So, yeah, basically he was in the hospital. Next morning, he had already passed away, and that was very. I do want to say this though. Apparently, Leonard Nimoy was a huge activist. He supported many types of rights and equalities, and the Westboro Church did indeed plan to picket his funeral. They
I
had
saw that.
every intention of protesting, but nobody knew where his funeral was.
Darn.
So they outsmarted the Westboros. I applaud them. Kudos to you people.
Although, if it had been a big to do and a big public funeral, I think it would have been even more amazing because we would have been able to see the Westboro Baptist Church get the crap beat out of them by a bunch of people dressed as Klingons.
Oh, I would pay money to see that. Not gonna lie.
Or even better, a bunch of people dressed as like red shirts.
Yes, I would love. Someone needs to draw a picture of that. The people with the Westboro Church signs, getting beaten by a bunch of red shirts. Someone please do that, please.
The red shirts have their revenge. All right, so I think that's the closest we're gonna get to a segue. So back to
On to our
Terra.
normal topic of conversation, Doctor Who!
Yay!
And not just any
Um,
Doctor Who.
the Sixth Doctor Who.
Yes. And quite possibly some of the strangest looking monsters I've ever seen.
I have to credit them. This is actually a creative looking monster. It's just also a very
Phallic.
and reverse phallic. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's like somebody stuck the head of a penis inside of a vagina. It's really disgusting.
If you've ever seen Terror of the Vervoids, you know what we're talking about.
If you haven't,
Go
this
watch
sounds
it.
really weird.
If you haven't, go watch Terror of the Vervoids and you'll understand what we're talking about because you kind of need to see it to understand it. So
It's actually not bad.
there's probably going to be a lot of phallic jokes. There's probably also going to be a lot of marijuana jokes.
I'm gonna try and avoid those. Both of them. I want this to be not a family podcast,
I was
obviously,
gonna say,
but
when
like
have we been a family podcast? We're like
I know.
13
Uh,
and up podcast.
I think we're 13-year-olds only. That's our level of humor. But
Yeah. I'm not 13, but I have the humor of a 13-year-old apparently.
yeah, don't we all? Well,
Except for the 13-year-olds because they want to be like 21.
anyways, so Terror of the Vervoids is a Sixth Doctor story, which some people may already have found out about through another person online who playing on one of my monitors right now, Nash Bozard. He does Radio Dead Air, which we pimp all the time.
We
But
don't get paid.
he,
We're just fans of Radio Dead Air and Nash.
yeah,
Which he has a
we tend to.
Patreon. Go support his Patreon.
Yes, yes. Thank you for reminding me because I always forget to advertise that.
Again, we're
Um,
not paid. We're actually really just doing this for fun. But hey,
yes.
Nash, if you want to give us a shout out, we'd appreciate it.
He never listens to us.
You never know.
I don't know. I've seen the analytics on YouTube.
Good point. But yeah, he did do a review of Terror of the Vervoids for his show.
His Doctor Who classics. He hasn't done a Doctor Who classic in a long time. I think he ended the series if I remember correctly. Um, but they're still out there. They're on. What's
Channel
that?
Awesome now?
Yeah, I think it's Channel Awesome. Let me see what the website is real
Well,
fast.
it's
Yeah,
Channel Awesome now.
channelawesome.com.
Yeah, it's no longer that guy with the glasses.
Yeah, so it's on channelawesome.com.
Which
Look up Nash.
kind of
Look up
sad.
his
Channel Awesome. They've
Doctor Who
lost a
review.
lot of my favorite reviewers.
They're shifting, but
Yeah, some of the newer
I'll
guys,
hold out.
I just
Well, yeah, but I mean they have kind of like a rotating set of acts, so I'm willing to wait it out and see.
alright.
Anyways,
Yeah, he
neither
did
here
it.
nor there.
We've watched it now.
Now I actually saw this on my own once before and thought it was okay. So when Janice was like, "Let's watch this," I was like, "Okay, that's not terrible."
Also, I couldn't find any.
It's not Pirate Planet or whatever the one before this is. So
I don't know
okay,
what the one before this one is.
I think, or maybe that's I can't remember.
Either way, it's it's still gonna be infinitely better than the Candyman. I made Joey sit
Candyman
through that.
can.
The Candyman is one of the worst episodes I've ever seen. It's so
I
stupid.
Technically the episode is called the Happiness Patrol. If anybody's a masochist,
I
and
know,
this
but
close,
still, the
this soon after
Candyman is
50
the.
Shades of Grey came out, I can't discount that. So
I don't know, if you
yeah,
had a
if
choice
you
between sitting through the Candyman episodes, the Happiness Patrol, or 50 Shades of Grey, what would you rather suffer through?
um, I got a theory. I've never read 50 Shades of Grey, but I have a
Don't.
theory that if you don't know anything about Twilight, and I don't know anything about Twilight, that if you don't know anything about Twilight, so you don't recognize the stolen characters and whatnot, that it might actually have a surprisingly accurate portrayal. From what I've heard, what little bits I've heard of it, it might actually have a surprisingly accurate portrayal of like the hardcore BDSM community.
No.
Because I keep hearing things about stuff that I know is like deep BDSM stuff. Not like the bondage part, but like the cultural parts. If that makes sense, it's hard to explain.
I
If I
can
see the
tell
movie,
you,
we will do an episode about it.
I've seen the movie. I have read the book,
I'm sorry.
which I'm not going to say why I read the book because people will wonder about me and my family, but the point is, I've read the book. It's terrible. It is. The movie could have made the book better. The movie had potential. It's just the worst part is the two lead characters have no chemistry whatsoever, and they're supposed to be in this weird romantically sexual relationship. But I
Yeah.
couldn't believe for a second there was any attraction between them. They're
Well, the
just
guy quit after the. He's like, I'm
that's
not coming
that's
back for another
still
movie.
that's actually still a rumor because I've heard he has said no. I've heard that other people said he quit. I'm leaning towards he quit though because that's kind of a career killer for him.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards he quit just because this is like he had no, like you said, he had no chemistry. I just from seeing interviews and seeing clips, I'm like, that looks like they're reading from a script in like the prep room, not that they're
And
actually.
that's how the movie felt. It felt extremely forced. It felt uncomfortable. I mean, it's supposed to be uncomfortable anyway, but even when it's not sexual, when it's supposed to be them bonding, it felt so forced and
All right, well, we're getting off topic. We will
yes.
talk about
Back to
50
Doctor
Shades if
Who.
I watch 50 Shades. Yes. Um, so, Terror of the Vervoids. Basic breakdown. It's been a while since either of us watched it, so um,
It's a
I'm
mystery
gonna
on a
try.
spaceship.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to skip around too much, but probably just have to cover the basics because I don't remember everything that happened.
Well, it
Um,
starts off they get the distress call in the TARDIS while exercising and drinking carrot juice.
I, you know what? I would totally insert the wacky trombone noise, the wow noise, but I'm lazy, so don't expect that coming from post. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, but the humor was not good. Like the intentional bits of humor were not good. They were like little kids would scoff. Like you wouldn't see that on uh, Fairly Odd Parents, or I'm trying to think of shows that might still be on. I don't even know if they're on anymore.
They are.
Uh,
They got a
I know
dog.
Rugrats isn't, but that's
I
weird.
kind of miss I kind of missed Rugrats. That was one of my favorite shows as a kid.
Yeah, me too. But like those
But yeah,
shows would have scoffed at this kind of humor. It's like
it was
a
so
woman
bad.
goes up, a woman on the ship, which looked like a lobby of a hotel. It did not look like a ship.
Or a
Um,
mall cafeteria, like food court.
yeah, it's true. It did kind of look like a food court, but it had like a concierge desk.
But this
So
woman was like pissed off because she was like, "You gave me the wrong key," and they're like, "Oh, it's because you're
no,
reading
no,
it as
no.
like a."
She says they stole her luggage. She kept saying that no, you took my luggage. My luggage wasn't in my room. You're the chief of security. Fix this. And he's like, give me your key. And he flips the key over, and it's got a big old number 6 on it. He
He's
flips it
like,
over, and he
"You had
says,
it upside
"You're
down.
in
It's not a
cabin 9."
9." And she just kind of walks off indignant. And I was like, "Okay, that's supposed to be funny, but it's just not."
Now, as somebody who does that kind of service all day, yeah, people will just like turn and walk away indignant when you prove them wrong. So that's realistic at least. But the really, that's your humor? Is it's not a 6, it's a 9.
Because that's never been
We
done
love to laugh.
before.
So bad, so cheap and crappy. Um, and that kind of felt that way at first a lot. Like the gags, the sight gags, and the obvious
They were
inclusion
either
of a spy.
Yeah, they were either like kind of forced or they were just so cheesy.
Like there was a bit of foreshadowing that they did early on. Same scene where like the blocking in this was like watching a stage play. Um, the she storms off. A security guard just like shakes his head and walks off stage left, and entering stage right are two people who suddenly discover each other 5 seconds later, and one of them goes, "Hey, you're the dude that I knew a long time ago. You were a detective who was
Yes.
undercover researching this." And he's like, "I'm not a detective who's undercover. That's crazy. I'm so and so, and I've never been to your planet." Uh, boy, I wonder if the and okay, there's also, by the way, two aliens on the ship who wear uniforms that, as Nash described them, make them look Daft Punkian. They look
And you
like,
might as well. They do look like Daft Punk.
I have to admit, throughout that entire thing, I don't know how many Janice caught, but we were watching it together, and I kept I kept like dropping song titles.
Yes. It's true, he did. It was like nonstop.
Look, they needed to get to the Robot Rock. It, it's a good show.
Yeah, and
It's transcendent.
yeah. I mean,
Eh,
they gotta do it better and harder and faster
harder,
and
faster,
stronger.
and stronger.
So, more power to you, Daft Punk, as weird aliens. But the thing is, like, most of the time, the weird aliens were just there in the background. They were present and, like, necessary
And
a
you know
couple
what?
times.
That
Like, I made sense, but for the most part, it was just kind of like they're in the background, like drinking tea or playing chess or something.
because this cruise ship, which seems to be carrying a cargo of illicit material, by the way, um,
Oh, the
the cruise
cargo.
ship with so few rooms that they actually have single digit numbers. Yeah, that's like all the passengers. There's like five humans, four of whom are lab technicians,
Oh,
and these two
my
Daft
goodness.
Punkians. Um,
I'm sorry, on a side note, real quick, I went ahead and looked up the plot for Terror of the Vervoids really quick just because, in case I forgot something or there's something that needs to be added. There's
mhm.
a. I'm looking at the VHS cover for Doctor Who's Terror of the Vervoids, and, well, if you think the Vervoids themselves looked bad, this. I'm just gonna go ahead and send you the link, and you're gonna have to scroll
the,
down to the
the
bottom.
drawing, I think I've seen it.
It. I hate to say it, but it looks like a Georgia O'Keeffe painting with a pair of boobs in it. And if you understand the Georgia O'Keeffe reference, you get a cookie.
I don't know if I see boobs.
Well, the pink in the middle, the pink, it looks like.
To me,
Actually,
it looks like an exposed brain, honestly.
I see three things it could possibly look like, and boobs and brain is one of them.
Boobs and brain is one?
Two. That, or it is a. That or it's testicles.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Sorry! It's a
I have to
horrible
eat after
picture!
this.
So do I.
So, anyways, that wonderful mental image aside,
But then I
I
look up
don't
the.
worry.
I look up
I
at the
probably
costumes
will
for
put
the.
the. I don't intend to put that image up just to spare the audience, but I will probably forget that intention and later put it up
But
anyways
see,
as
I
part of the
also
video.
went back up and I'm looking at a picture of them in costume, and it kind of looks like leaves with giant eyeballs that are just like closed eyes, though,
Hmm.
which is better than what Nash said they look like. So let's, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, what I was saying is that there's two Daft Punkians on board. I forget what they were called. Um,
I don't remember anybody's name. I got confused.
so they're going along, just bopping around the ship and talking, and then eventually there's a third Daft Punkian just sort of hanging around. He doesn't talk much, and it's like, boy, I wonder if that's a little bit of a call ahead to a possible traitor or spy. Hmm.
I have no idea.
So yeah,
That
the
is one thing I'll have to
first,
admit that kind of disappointed me about Terror of the Vervoids is a lot of the things that are supposed to be foreshadowing kind of went beyond foreshadowing to beating you over the head obvious.
yeah, um, although there was one heel turn which was somewhat foreshadowed, but still felt completely ridiculous.
A lot of this felt completely ridiculous.
More completely ridiculouser. So, and yes, I said that. So basically, the at this point, the doctors landed the TARDIS in one of the many bland cargo hold sets that Doctor Who used to use.
The
Um,
BBC, they have like 3 sets. Give them a break.
yes,
Even back in
so
the day.
they land in the cargo hold and are immediately captured by security, as always happens.
Because security
Uh,
just happens to be chilling in the cargo hold at all
and
times.
then this is the time when they actually do something that I really respect in Doctor Who, and they don't do very often. They introduce a character who knows the Doctor from a previous adventure we never saw.
Yep.
That's cool, and they don't do it enough. Where it shows up and he immediately basically lays out what you would assume, oh yeah, I think I may have seen that episode. And then you realize that's every episode. The Doctor shows up, mayhem ensues, a lot of my people died, and then the Doctor just bopped off after solving the problem, and I won't let that happen again. And I'm like, okay, dude, you are stop being meta and knowing what the Doctor's going to end up causing. So I like that. And they get captured, they get brought up to the hold. Stuff happens of very little importance. We get a couple hints about the Vervoids to come with botany research and Mel hearing voices and over
Which
the
is
radio.
weird because she hears the voices through these headphones which have like no connection to anything.
It's almost as if they have wireless technology.
Who would have saw that coming at the time? But yes, and then
So
there's the mysterious hydroponics center.
yeah, yeah. The lab technicians are going in and out. There's like the bitchy woman from earlier comes back and turns out that somehow, despite not being able to tell the difference between a 6 and a 9, um, and I have another comment about that, and give me just a second. Despite not being able to tell the difference between a 6 and a 9, she's apparently a professor who's created a new form of life.
I would not
Um,
trust that woman.
no. By the way, I wouldn't trust this ship either, because this is what I was going to get to. She got to her room, cabin 6, opened it up, and her bags weren't there. That means that our cabin 9 key code worked on cabin 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked up, guys. Come on. What's the point in giving somebody a key if you can open any door with any key? That's ridiculous.
Because
Anyways,
reasons. Because Doctor Who reasons.
because reasons. So, all that beside the point. Um, the Daft Punkians sit down after talking about how they're actually the blue dudes from Avatar. They're being exploited by the humans. It's humans bad.
As
Native
always.
American Native American stand-ins good. Um, taking advantage and mining our planet of all its resources, and they hate nature. Can't they hear the wolf cry to the blue horn moon?
Yes,
All this,
Pocahontas.
all this stuff. Blah 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 blah. They sit down, and one of them takes a drink of something perfectly normal for its species, and starts to choke and die. And Doctor figures out immediately it's a human in disguise, and he rips the clothes off because of. And this is okay. I really wanted to stop the video there and ask you this:
What?
why would he drink the alien juice if he's a human?
Well, because
Why not?
we weren't supposed to know that he was human.
But he knows he's human.
Maybe he
Why would
wanted to die. Okay.
maybe because why would he be like, all right, I'm spying and I'm in disguise. I'll have this delicious, arsenic juice. Like what? Really, dude? So they pop the hat off, and I guess they like breathe methane or something like that. But he's like, no, no, he's dying in there. We have to take the helmet off. And he takes the helmet off, and he proves that the Andorian's actually human. I mean, I'm sorry. What? Star Trek? What?
Yep.
Yeah, this is that
Well,
episode of Star Trek where,
Doctor Who and Star Trek have a lot of things in common, so you can't
mm,
really.
and I find it quite fitting that that was an episode that Spock was featured quite prominently. Um,
Spock just keeps
but
coming back into play.
yeah, he does a lot. But yeah, basically, this is the same general gist as that episode of Star Trek where the Andorian wasn't actually an Andorian. His little antenna pops off and he's like humanoid. So, long story short, they go through a bunch of things. We find out that the people are dying, like people are vanishing. There's a mysterious murder that's happening. And then the Vervoids show up. I can't remember. I honestly can't. How the hell did the Vervoids get loose?
Oh, was that when the dude got electrocuted or whatever?
I think so, but I can't remember.
Like
That's bad.
some sort of damage done to their holding cell container thing.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah. Their containment was broken, and they just like wandered out. They're humanoid plants.
Very
Um,
odd looking humanoid plants.
yeah, and they're not like Zahn from Farscape humanoid plants. These are like leafy greens, like delicious salad humanoid plants.
They kind of look
Um,
like weeds.
yeah, kinda. I mean, that's basically what they were.
Yeah.
So they get free, and they're going around the ship and like, we'll destroy this ship. Um, they're trying to think if there's anything really important before they actually take over. I
There's
can't
not because
think of
it's mostly
anything.
them kind of like Mel gets in trouble and then she gets out of trouble and then it's the doctor trying to figure out what's going on and it's just kind of a who done it for a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay, this
People,
person
various
died,
people
now we have to
blame
figure
each
out
other.
why this person died. Well, this person's gone missing, we got to figure out why this person's missing and so it's just kind of a lot of back and forth like we just need to figure out what's going on,
Okay, and now one thing I should mention is that this is part of the um, Trial of a Time Lord arc,
which is a
which means that
huge arc.
periodically we go back to the best part of the episodes. I swear to
Gallifreyan
God,
fashion.
uh, well, seriously though, the Gallifreyan stuff is actually some of my favorite. In the Trial of the Time Lords arc, the whole arc, with the exception of the final episode of the arc, not of Terror of the Vervoids, but of the arc later on. Um, my favorite parts of the arc are when we go to the trial itself and we see the doctor react to something that he doesn't remember or that was changed from what he expected it to be. And
Mm-hmm.
he's trying to convince them that he's being framed. There's a lot of really witty banter and really great quotables being
Some
tossed
really
around. The
good
doctor,
characters.
the doctor is played by Colin Baker's greatest strength was his revulsion with people and his outrage over the behavior of others or what he sees as the failings of others. That was Colin Baker's real strength, is he was able to pull off that holier than thou persona.
He pulled it off quite
That
well.
Yeah, he did. I think I've actually used his. I think it's when we were doing our countdown of the Doctors for the 50th anniversary. I remember using one of his quotes where he lists off various enemies, and then he ends it with, I've been fighting them all, and I should have come back here where the root of all evil is, or something to that effect. And it's so good. So it's really great to see him play off of the Valyard, the guy who's
I do love the Valyard
basically
because
brought him to trial.
if I remember correctly, there's a pretty big twist as to who the Valyard is.
Oh yeah,
Which that's one thing I also love about the Trial of a Time Lord is if you've never seen the serial, I would recommend watching the whole thing. Even though yes, it's
it's a
long.
whole season. It's the
It's
whole
it's
season.
not. It's a little more interesting than what was that one we saw that it was like 12 episodes with the second Doctor
Hey, I like that. That was
that
it's
had
only
Steve
10
Jobs.
episodes. It is only 10 episodes. She's talking about the War Games, which is
The War
one of my
Games.
favorite episodes of Doctor Who.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't get over the fact that the War Doctor was Steve Jobs.
I know.
But
I'm sorry.
but it's cool because everything leading up, like you think, oh, this, you know exactly who everyone is, and you know exactly what's gonna happen, and then it gets to that last episode, and even I've seen this, and it's like, oh, I kind of never would have seen that coming.
Yeah, it's good. Um, Sorry, I was getting a weird noise. Um, anyways, going back to the show itself. Um, like I said, throughout this, there have been some bouncing around, and one of the things is that the Doctor sends Mel away, and he doesn't remember doing that. Um, so he's getting fed up, and at this point, the Doctor just sort of settles into watching what happens to himself and being like, that doesn't happen. So from this point on, it gets weirder, if that's possible, to go from vagina head monsters to weirder. That's where it goes.
There's really no way to get weirder, but let's go with that.
Because they take over the bridge of the ship, which is one of the few sets we've seen a lot. They take over the bridge of the ship with pot smoke.
Pretty much.
They start pumping in smoke, which is
And it's green.
vaguely implied to be their leaves being burned, or
Yeah.
like that they are producing like a pheromone from their leaves or something.
But I'm pretty sure we
Yeah,
can all agree that it's pot.
it's pot. So some purple haze floats in. SFA woo, and yeah, the bridge crew's out. Nobody can go in there. The Vervoids have taken over. Um, and now it's a matter of stopping the Vervoids. But I
Good luck with
forget,
that in
was
the
this
pot smoke.
before or after the guy tries to destroy the ship?
I think it's when he tries to take him to the black hole.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was before or after the Vervoids take over. Because I was thinking it was
I
after, but maybe
believe
it's before.
that's before.
Okay, I'm sorry then. Before the Vervoids take, I can't remember. I honestly can't. It's been like 2 weeks since we watched this. I apologize, guys. Um, yeah, there's another guy who tries to take her. Basically, that bridge is conquered more than Italy in World War II. Like that, everybody is gonna take over that bridge by the end of this episode.
And yet no
Uh,
one survives.
yeah. So this guy, he tries to take over because he was a researcher and he was part of the team, and he's actually the guy who's been killing people. Um, one of the things, because also the Vervoids and also the Mulgarians or whatever they are
Oh, I know this one. I
involving
know this one. It's the. I just saw it. I just saw it. I swear I did.
what the Merca? Well, I don't know what you're looking for.
What they're called?
Mulga-
The Mulgarians, I believe.
Mulgarians, Bulgar. I don't know. I I think it is Mulgarians because I remember thinking maybe we should make a Bulgaria joke, but then I don't know anything about Bulgaria.
I don't either.
Uh, anyways, but yeah, it's like Mulganians or Mulgarians or something. Um,
Mogarians. There's no L.
Mulgarians.
The
Okay.
Mogarians.
So the Mulgarians have been killing people. Everybody's been kind of killing people here and there. Um, Basically, the only people who haven't killed other people so far are the Doctor, Mel, and the bridge crew. Everybody else is just killing, killing, killing. So yeah, the guy takes over and he's like, we can't let the Vervoids reach Earth. It'll destroy our economy, and it's immoral. What we've done is wrong. I'm going to crash the ship into a black hole and
Because
destroy
killing
all
everyone, because
evidence.
killing everyone is better. It's always the
Yeah,
option.
basically just eliminate them and eliminate the problem. Um, and he gets defeated. And then the Vervoids take over the bridge, and the doctor comes up with the genius plan, which makes no sense, of accelerating their life cycle by giving them more food. In other
Yes.
words, since they're plants, carbon dioxide and sunlight. So they brighten
That
the
was honestly
lights.
one of the funniest scenes in the entire arc right there. Was
Yeah.
watching them die. I know that's horrible to say, but it was the camera work and the special effects. The special
They
effects were really bad, okay?
they were, but I'm actually gonna give them a pass because I know that they had a budget problem
I
in
know.
this season, and those costumes were surprisingly original. So, given how original the Vervoids actually looked, to then have really crappy sequences of special effects with them, it's not that surprising because they just like they blew their wad on the freaky heads.
Because that's where
So,
money should go.
hey, that's where every man's money goes. Anyways, um,
But
so
fun
yeah,
fact
they
is,
kill off.
it's not the sun and the exposure to light that kills him. It's the Vianesium that kills him because it's a super rare metal, and exposure to the Vianesium is what kills all of the
Oh,
Vervoids.
that's right, because that's where the secret shipment that's on board the ship comes into play.
Yep.
Because the Vianesium somehow has this effect on plants only. It's kind of like that episode with the Fifth Doctor where they're on the sea base, and in the very first episode, he goes like one of the people who was with him bumps into something. And he's like, "Be careful! Don't knock that over. It could be hazardous to the environment. We're underwater, you know. And that's harmful to marine and reptile life." And then the enemies are marine animals and reptiles. What a surprise.
Yes. So remember, if you're
Vianesium's
ever
kind
up
of the same
against a
thing.
weird, freaky, phallic pot plant, be sure to have your Vianesium.
Okay, and now the worst part is that the episode I was talking about, the sea base, with the Fifth Doctor, they foreshadow that like 2 episodes ahead. With the Terror of the Vervoids, I don't think I remember hearing them mention Vianesium until the
No.
doctor says, "You have Vianesium aboard. I sussed this out while nobody was looking."
That's why this isn't one of my favorite episodes because it is such a mess. Like,
Mm,
some things are so obviously foreshadowed that it's almost insulting to your intelligence. But then some are like, hey, we're out of money, so here's a quick solution. We just happen to have this rare metal that kills Vervoids, and we need to wrap it up because we've gone over budget.
yeah. Anyways, regardless, the Vervoids die, and but the pot smoke gas thing is still filling the bridge, and there's only one solution.
And it's not Vianesium.
As Nash Bozard put it, it's daft motherfucking punk.
Yep.
So the
Because they
the
can breathe it.
Morgarians go in there. Yeah, because they've got those full body suits with the
Oxygen is
masks.
lethal to Megarians, so if you ever need to know how to kill one of them, oxygen.
Right. So the Megarians go in and they pilot the ship and save everybody because the ship, I think, was still on a collision course with a black hole.
Yep.
So they go in and they save everybody, and they're awesome, and everybody's like, "You're so cool." And then a guy who is like 2 weeks from retirement,
Literally.
yeah, he even says he's like coming up on retirement as soon as the trip is over in like a week. Uh, he steps forward and says, "I was being put out to pasture, but they offered me money
Yep.
and respect, so I'm joining the Bulgarians, and this is Bulgarian ISIS. We're taking over." What? Like that? So out of left field because the Bulgarians have seemed like these kind of
They seem pretty
like
peaceful.
they were peaceful people. They were a people that respected their homeworld and like they were upset with humans for not respecting their homeworld. But they seem like the Native American with the tear, not the Native Americans riding horses and taking scalps.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't understand which one they were trying for, whether they wanted you to feel bad for the Bulgarians or hate them, because they immediately try and kill everybody and take over the ship.
Like I said, the ending. it does go back to the trial, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the ending on the actual episode of the Vervoids, it just it was kind of clunky and didn't have all the answers you wanted, and so they're like, okay, well the Vervoids are dead. This like everything's gonna be put in order, and they just go.
Which is, to be fair, Doctor does that a lot. Where he's just like, all right, let's hop in the TARDIS and off we go,
They're like, all
cause
right, we
screw the
saved.
paperwork.
It's like we saved the important people. So
So yeah, off they go. Yay. And then it's back to the trial where, again, still arguing that, no, it's different than I remember. I'm being manipulated by the Valiard.
and then of course he has to admit that none of the Vervoids survived, that they're now gone.
And, oh, that's right. The big crux was that uh, the way to kill them was, like, that the doctor was the one who killed them.
So he's
And
basically accused of genocide.
and in his memory of it, or his, oh, this is a future one. Like, so when he was studying his future, using Time Lord technology, he saw a different outcome in this situation, where he was trying to protect them and, uh, you know, allow the Vervoids to have a new homeworld or something like that.
Not commit genocide, because
Yeah,
genocide is wrong, everybody.
anti-genocide. It is.
Even if they
Genocide
are,
is wrong.
even if it is a Vervoid, genocide is wrong.
So, yeah, the Trial of the Time Lord part, I like them, but this one kind of just fizzled out. It was like, that's
It's
not what I remember, just like the last two times.
Yeah, I like the Trial of a Time Lord. I like how they kind of play with the concept of the past and the future and the present. I like the story within a story because it kind of does give you a better sense of who the Doctor is, what he's done, where he's going. But not all of the stories within the trial. Yeah, they're. But then again, like you said, there were some budget problems. There were some behind the scenes problems because I think technically Doctor Who got briefly cancelled.
It was put on a 1 year hiatus.
Yes, so it was put on a hiatus after this, and
Oh, it
so
was before this, actually. It went on a longer hiatus after, like 2 years. And then, wait a minute.
because I know Colin
Oh,
Baker
no,
never
no,
got
you're
his
right. It was
regeneration.
after.
Yeah, because Colin Baker never got his regeneration. So when Sylvester McCoy stepped in, that was not him as the Sixth Doctor. It was Sylvester McCoy in a wig becoming Seven.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't actually know. Now, one thing we do know about the Trial of the Time Lord is that Mel joins the Doctor without an intro episode, which she's the only companion
Yeah, she just kind of pops in.
other than Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter.
Susan, it was
No,
implied she ran away with him from Gallifrey, though.
it's implied 50 years later. Um,
But do they ever give Mel a reason as to why she's there, or, like
yeah,
what brings her?
She joined the Doctor as a companion after the trial,
Oh, that's right,
not
because
during the trial.
This is technically her first introduction.
Yeah, when she's introduced as a future companion to the Doctor that he hasn't met yet. Um, and then she shows up at the trial. Um, and then she and the Doctor bop off, even though the Doctor hasn't met her originally yet. Like, her memory of their first meeting hasn't happened yet, which is weird. But that's time travel for you. So, um, yeah, when they do the regen, it's Sylvester McCoy and Mel, presumably after older Mel got dropped off and newer Mel got picked up. I don't know. It's confusing.
Like I said, it does play with the concept of the past, the future, and the present. So you're not sure exactly where in time this is or what's going on, but you know that she is indeed a companion. She is indeed, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. So I kind of like that it's confusing, that it doesn't say this is exactly what happened.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you don't need that. So, anyways, I'm sorry. I know I'm picking up audio in the background.
That's
I,
okay.
I apologize. And I apologize to our listeners. This is the best microphone I have, but it's a little oversensitive. So I know at least once it's picked up a flush, and I know it picked up cat food at one point.
And
um,
to make you feel better, I'm currently working without a microphone because mine is broken, except for what's
nice.
in my computer. So soon I shall remedy all of this and
She is actually transmitting all of her parts of this discussion with the powers of her mind
the Vervoids.
and the Vervoids. So, um, we've never really rated. Like, that's not really how we do it. It's more of a would you see it again or would you recommend people to see it kind of thing. So, Janice, would you recommend people see this episode?
Um, honestly, yes. Are we talking just Terror of the Vervoids by
Just
itself?
Terror. Just Terror of the Vervoids.
Yes, because I think it's pardon me while I have a dumb. I think it does kind of have a good show of the Doctor's morals and his conscience, because he's basically saying, there's people I need to save, but at the same time, I want to try and save this. I don't want to say enemy race, but that's the only thing I can think of. So it does kind of put him in that juxtaposition of I need to save this, and this, but I know I can only do so much. So it kind of shows what kind of a person he is and what kind of priorities he's gotten, and plus which some of the cheesiness is worth it because it is kind of cheesy.
Yeah, oh, it's way more than kind of
Would
cheesy,
I
especially that
watch it
opening.
again? Would I watch it again? Yes, because now that I know what to expect, I can laugh at it. But I think definitely, because I know I've got a lot of friends who have become Whovians, but they only know the recent, as in Christopher Eccleston up until Capaldi.
Hmm.
But I honestly think the more recent Whovians, and I'm talking about you people who are only into it because of David Tennant, which
They
honest,
don't listen to our show.
you should. You could learn something. I do think the classic Doctors are underrated, and I think Colin Baker as the Sixth Doctor is extremely underrated. Because really, him, who was five? Peter Davis?
Peter Davison.
Peter Davison, I think those two are quite possibly some of the most underrated doctors, and they don't really get enough recognition for their talent or their time.
Hmm.
Well, Paul, I'm sorry if you can hear that. There is a child living above me, and he is loud. Um, I think them and Paul McGann, but Paul McGann only had the 2 hour movie.
And the best short ever.
Yes! Love that short. But anyway, he's a very nice man. But
Yeah.
basically, I think Trial of a Time Lord is one of those serials you should definitely see whether you're only into the new Who or you love all Who. Because again, it's a good look at him as a person, not just here's the many adventures he goes on, here's the decisions he's made on the fly. It's like, no. You see kind of deeper into his mind and you get a better idea of his right, his wrong. I think it's worth seeing and I think everyone should see it.
I would agree that it's worth seeing. I don't know if everyone should see this particular episode. Um, I feel like there's actually another Colin Baker episode which I gotta show you. I can't remember honestly now. I can't remember if it's the Dalek one or the Cyberman one. I think it's the Cyberman episode where he gets the TARDIS to change its shape. You know, it's always been the police box. That's what we all know.
Mm-hmm.
He's tired of it. That's from the old Doctor. New Doctor shouldn't have police box. He needs to get with the times, so he tries to fix the chameleon circuit, which results in it being all sorts of weird things, and I love it. The humor was better. It was his first season, so there wasn't a lot of the intense oversight from the editors that there was in this season, which actually meant that the humor was a little bit better. Uh, the Doctor was a little darker, but that can be good. I don't know. If I remember the episode name, I'll put it up during post. But
I
yeah,
can
that
probably find it.
I would recommend other Colin Bakers before this. But if you like Colin Baker, yeah, this is not a bad episode. I would definitely tell people they can watch it and enjoy it. just be prepared for some of the most sexually suggestive headgear ever.
Oh my goodness. There's really there's really no other way to describe it, and I'm sorry if you're underage or easily offended, put your hands over your ears for a moment. They really do look like vagina penis hybrid pot plants. It's there's really no other way to explain it.
Yeah, there's something just horrible. More than that, though, there's also something really grotesque about these weird proboscis that hang out of their mouth. It's weird.
Yeah,
You have
there's
to experience it. You just have to experience it for yourself.
and we're not going to show you a picture because you can't get the full understanding of it.
Oh, there probably will be pictures.
Well, then
Because
that's
remember,
all.
if we're
That's.
putting this on YouTube, it's gonna probably have images. We'll
But do
see.
we really want to risk copyright infringement again?
You know what? I don't know.
The good news is, people, we do have a website in the works. Eventually, I'll have that up and running.
As soon as we do this, these things are going up
It
on iTunes.
it will be hopefully within the next month. But considering I really suck at all things technological, somebody want to do it for me?
Don't look at me. Unfortunately, I will be doing a lot of traveling, so this is our last podcast until I'm done.
Are you talking about Resurrection of the Daleks by chance?
Possibly. I can't remember if I can't remember if it's that one.
No, this is Fifth Doctor. I'm sorry.
No, it is the sixth Doctor that I'm trying to think of. I just can't remember it.
Or is it Attack of the Cybermen?
Might be.
Never mind, we'll figure it out later, and we might talk about it on a future episode. Let's go with that.
Yeah, let's go with that. All right.
As I'm distracting him. But like I said, I am trying to build up a website so that we can have some place to put this and you don't have to constantly go to YouTube and wonder if we've been kicked off again or not.
Yeah, because I'm getting kind of sick of dealing with
Yeah,
it.
so
I do not blame the people who are on YouTube, like great shows like Nerd Cube, Total Biscuit, Video Games Awesome, who are getting this kicked out of them by uh,
copyright.
supposed copyright holders who 9 times out of 10 don't hold the copyright.
Yeah, even a lot of the video game like Let's Players are getting in trouble for music.
Yeah, well, you can't even play a Nintendo game.
Good point. Now I see a lot of like online indie horror games, which is okay, but yeah, again, we'll have the website up and going. Once we get the website going, we can post them there. We can put them on iTunes so you can take us with us wherever you go. Just as horrible as it sounds, you can keep us in your pocket.
Yeah. And that meowing in the background tells me that I need to go. So I'll talk to you guys later.
And I've got to go walk my dog because the dog waits for nobody.
The dog waits for no man.
Exactly. So everyone have a good week, stay warm, keep watching Doctor Who, and hey, Series 9 is coming.
Yep. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
In all my travelings throughout the universe, I have battled against evil, against power-mad conspirators. I should have stayed here. The oldest civilization. Decadent, degenerate, and rotten to the core. Power-mad conspirators, Daleks, Sontarans, Cybermen. They're still in the nursery compared to us. 10 million years of absolute power. That's what it takes to be really corrupt.